Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's now time for the Pony Cake Sports Podcast with your hosts, Josh Stevens, Tim Thompson, and Tom Schultz. Woo!
Hey there, everybody. We are back with another episode, and as always, I'm here with Tim and Tom. Tim, why don't you tell everybody what the show is about today?
We're breaking down some positions, our favorite spots for each position, and our least favorite, as always.
It's been a couple weeks since Tim's been here, and he completely forgot what format we were using. So, Josh, good job trolling Tim right there.
I can't help myself. This show we're going to talk about who we like, who you should start, your red hot starts of the week, and then the episode after this, completely separate episode, will be an episode about some of the guys that we do not like.
I might do both this episode, so stay tuned.
So let's go ahead and start it off. Let's go ahead and start off with the quarterback position. What guys are you liking this week to really hit that home run for your team? Quarterback.
My first quarterback I'm looking at is Kirk Cousins. Right now, he's fifth quarterback overall in the year, scoring-wise. He's facing New Orleans Saints team at home this week. He's only $5,900 on DraftKings. That's a pretty good value right there. I like to get those guys that are right at $6,000 or right below that. But you got to think, against the Saints in a dome, this should be a high-scoring game. And Kirk Cousins has been able to air it out this season. He's got 14 touchdowns on the year, only 3 interceptions. Absolutely love what Thielen has been doing, what Diggs has been doing, and hopefully Dalvin Cook can come back as well to add some extra explosive playmakers in this offense. Give me Kirk Cousins this week. I think he's a must-start in daily and in season-long leagues.
Don't know what the daily tally's at, Tom. I like that Kirk Cousins pickup. But give me one, Tom, your boy. 4 touchdowns last week. Give me one Andrew Luck against the Las Vegas Raiders pretty soon here. Listen, I feel like they're going to be down a little bit. I think they see the writing on the wall. They got their quarterback crying. They traded their primetime wide receiver. I'm not sure. You saw at the beginning of the year even... was it Cliff Averill on the other side there previously of Khalil Mack was kind of just jogging around, not really feeling it anymore. I'm not sure what the mentality is right now. I feel like coming off of that big trade, the Raiders players see the writing on the wall. It's a rebuild. They're not really feeling it. And one Andrew Luck monster game.
Yeah, Andrew Luck's been on a tear. 22 points the last 3 games. Game before that, 35 points. I think... we're back to the days of Andrew Luck must be a must-start almost every week. I think it almost has to be, regardless of matchup right now. My quarterback is going to be Andy Dalton for the Cincinnati Bengals facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Don't be afraid of the game that he just had, the 7.9 points. The week before he had 17. The week before that he had 12. So kind of a roller coaster because if you go back to week 1, 16, 26, 14, 24, 12. I'm expecting a big day out of him against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We kind of talked about that in an episode previously. But Tampa Bay's given up 20 points at quarterbacks, 27, 43, 24, 31. I'm expecting a big day out of Andy Dalton.
I really like that call, Josh. What's kind of crazy, he just pretty much shit the bed last week against the Chiefs. He's got that juicy matchup this week, but his price actually went up on DraftKings.
Really?
Even after that matchup, he's $6,300. He's more expensive than Cousins, than my next guy that I just picked, and I believe he's more expensive than Tim's first guy, Andrew Luck. Kind of crazy to me, but I do like him in redraft leagues. I think a lot of people will be down on him, but I expect a bounce-back game. My second guy is going to be Jared Goff versus the Green Bay Packers. 6,000 on DraftKings right now. I brought up earlier, that's kind of that sweet spot that I like to hit, especially for the cash games. Right now, Gurley has been dominating. He's been getting touchdowns left and right for this football team. I think he's got 8 in the last 3 weeks total. I think it's time for Jared Goff to start getting in that scoreboard a little more. I think he's going to get close to, or hopefully get 3 to 4 touchdowns this week. and hopefully the game flow will change a little bit. Hopefully this will be a shootout, as I think most people are expecting. But Jared Goff should be able to carve up this Green Bay Packers secondary, especially if Cooper Kupp's back. That's been one of his favorite red zone weapons. I like Jared Goff a lot this week.
I love it that Green Bay secondary has not been great at times this year. My second guy, I'm going with the homer pick. He's put up some big numbers, and his rushing total is making me think that he's going to be a little bit cheap. Give me Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky at home against the Jets. I get the Jets' defense is a little bit better than most people think, but I feel like the Bears are going to control this game throughout, and Mitchell Trubisky is going to calm down. We've seen him kind of have high-low games here. He's going to figure things out. I see another rushing touchdown and 2 passing touchdowns, about 288 in passing yards for one Mitchell Trubisky.
I actually don't mind that pick. That was going to be my other pick, so I'll change it because I did have a third one, but I don't mind that Mitchell Trubisky pick at all. My other one is going to be sneaky play. Imagine if you have somebody like a Phillip Rivers who's on bye this week. You may have to go to the waiver wire like I am going to have to in another league. Case Keenum for the Denver Broncos. He's facing the Kansas City Chiefs.
My other option, homie.
Kansas City Chiefs have been letting up some decent points at quarterbacks. Held Andy Dalton in check last week, obviously. But the week before that, 21 points, 20 points, a 39-point game, 29-point game. Obviously, they've gotten better as the season's gone along, but I still like the fact that Case Keenum possibly could put up some points.
I like it, Joshua. You got the point total in that game is going to be favorable. There definitely has to be. There's going to be a lot of passing out of Case Keenum this week.
Yeah.
Love it.
Moving on, we have the running back position, boys.
My first guy is going to be Marlon Mack going into Oakland to face the Raiders. Only 5,400 on DraftKings. I really like the growth of Marlon Mack as a runner. Last year, he really struggled getting yards in between the tackles and getting those physical yards after contact. This year, 50% of his rushing yards have come after contact and running in between the tackles. That offensive line in Indianapolis has really begun to grow as a unit. Quentin Nelson, Braden Smith, Ryan Kelly, Anthony Costanzo, and Mike Lewinsky are really gelling as a unit. Last week was their second game together, and they absolutely ran over a tough Buffalo Bills defense. I think the Oakland Raiders are going to give up. I don't think that team really enjoys what they're doing right now. Just traded away a stud receiver. I think Indianapolis has a chance to get up early on Oakland and possibly kind of have a game similar to last week for Marlon Mack.
Give me one James White against the Buffalo Bills here in Week 8. I feel like the Patriots are going to be up big, and I feel like James White is just going to keep on what he's done. He's going to get some receiving yards as well, but watch him run the ball. I know Kenyon Barner had some play last week as well, but I feel like James White is still going to get his play, and he's going to be a valuable asset, in my opinion, with what his dollar amount's at.
Yeah, James White is going to be a monster from here on out. No Sony Michel for the foreseeable future. James White definitely. If you haven't traded for him already, you're going to be hard pressed to try to trade for him now. So good luck doing that.
PPR machine.
Yeah, exactly. My running back is going to be James Conner from the Pittsburgh Steelers facing the Cleveland Browns. You got to look at what the Browns have given up to running backs in the previous weeks. 15.7 points a week before to Tampa Bay. You know, it's funny, you look at it and you say 15.7 points is not a lot to a running back, right? But Tampa Bay doesn't have a running game. That touchdown was to Ronald Jones, and then we got to see Peyton Barber put up 50-something yards rushing, and that team is awful at rushing the ball. The week before that, to the Chargers, 3 touchdowns to Melvin Gordon, 196 yards total, 43 points. Week before that, 21. Week before that, 26, 26, 21, 34.2. 34.2 was a big chunk of it to James Conner in that game as well. I think James Conner is going to have a big game here against the Browns.
Josh,
Must start.
I don't like that pick, in all honesty.
You can hate it as much as you want.
I think the Browns are going to focus primarily on stopping James Conner and make Big Ben and those wide receivers beat them through the air. I think you're going to see a lot of stacking the box in that front 7 and letting the Antonio Browns, Juju Smith-Schusters of the world feast off the secondary in single coverage, in all honesty, because of the way, to your point, how successful he was. I'm going to go with my second guy first here, Tom. I'm going to go with one, Kerryon Johnson. I feel like Kerryon Johnson here, week 8 against the Seattle Seahawks, is going to have a field day. I feel like he's going to keep doing what he's doing. He had 19 carries last week. I feel like it's going to be closer to like 22, 23 this week. And Kerryon Johnson's going to have a big day.
Don't hate it, Tim. Josh, I like the James Conner. Pretty much a must start in my eyes right now. Just the usage that he has been getting, the fact that he's had 26 receptions in 6 weeks. It's also fantastic, just under 5 per game. That's exactly what you want in PPR formats. For me, my second guy is going to be Raheem Mostert. For the 49ers, facing the Cardinals. Look, this is kind of that value guy, only 3,800 on DraftKings. Right now, he's been outplaying Breida and Morris. I know Breida has been banged up.
Catching the ball in the backfield, too.
He's been the best running back in the system. The last 2 games, he's 23 total touches, 165 yards. And what I really like about him is just that he's been getting the opportunity and that this offensive line right now in San Francisco has really been gelling. According to Football Outsiders, the Niners have the second best overall run blocking grade out of any offensive line this season. That is fantastic. Arizona has also been the worst team been allowing the most fantasy points to opposing running backs this season. This should be a juicy matchup for him. A guy that you could put in cash games and tournament plays and definitely get value this week.
Yeah, Tom, I like that pick a lot. That was going to be my other pick, just for the fact that I really think that he is going to start taking over that backfield. I think Alfred Morris, he did, have 9 carries in that game. But Breida's banged up, and if that's the case, Mostert, he should be the guy to go to. He had 4 catches out of the backfield. I like the pick, especially if you got to look at the teams that are on bye. Dallas, there goes Zeke. Atlanta, Coleman, Ito Smith, and then the Chargers, Melvin Gordon, Austin Eckler. That's a lot of running backs. Chances are you might have one of those running backs on your team. You could go out, pick this guy off the waivers, and possibly start him in a flex spot.
I got one more sneaky one. Jalen Richard, Raiders, with Marshawn Lynch going on IR. Amari Cooper is now gone as well. The Colts, they run a defense that they allow passing yards to running backs. I believe second most receiving yards on the season to running backs. So you got to expect him to have a good game. He's PPR back 35 right now. Has only had 11 carries. Brought this up to Tim. Even if he gets 3 to 5 rushing attempts per game, that's going to help his value out a lot and probably make him a startable flex option on a week-to-week basis. He's also super cheap in daily this week.
Tariq Cohen is almost a must-start every single week, week in, week out now. And you look at his rushing totals, only 6 carries last week for 14 yards. The week before, he had 5 carries for 31 yards and a touchdown. The week before that, obviously the bye week, but week 4, he had 13 for 53. The week before that, 5 for 53. But if you look, the more important stat is the receptions. 8 for 69 and a touchdown. 7 for 90. 7 for 121 and a touchdown. Those are the numbers that really matter, especially in PPR leagues. Tariq Cohen may be a must-start every single week, especially even if you had a Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen on your team. Maybe you double-dipped and said, what if Jordan Howard got hurt and I had to play Tariq Cohen? You may be starting Tariq Cohen over Jordan Howard even though he's not hurt.
Agreed.
They're using Tariq Cohen like the Panthers used Christian McCaffrey last year.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
And he's been fantasy viable.
Love that.
Wide receivers.
My first guy's going to be Jordy Nelson versus the Indianapolis Colts, $4,700 right now. Right now, Jordy, in my eyes, clear-cut number 1 option for the Oakland Raiders. This team is a total mess, trading their number 1 option, Amari Cooper, away. I think Jordy's in line to have a pretty good game. I think Indianapolis should be able to get up early on Oakland, which should put positive game flow for Derek Carr and the passing options, which means Jordy Nelson hopefully get 8 to 10 targets, and if he can get that, his $4,700 price tag on DraftKings is well worth it, and he should be locked into most cash games this week. hopefully he can hit value because he's locked into my cash games right now.
I like it. Another game that I think is going to be close. I mentioned it earlier. I think that the Browns are going to be stacking the box to try to make sure that they shut down one James Conner. Antonio Brown's going to be matched up against the Denzel Ward and the best of the Browns secondary, which is going to leave Juju Smith-Schuster. Coming off the bye week, Steelers are going to light him up like he has all season long. 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards receiving. Juju Smith-Schuster is my guarantee top 5 wide receiver of the week.
Adam Thielen against the New Orleans Saints.
Scumbag.
I have to say
Taking the layup.
Yeah, I gotta say it. I think he will get his 8th straight game over 100 yards. I don't know about the touchdown, but he's facing the New Orleans Saints, and the Saints are the worst against wide receivers. 47 points this last week. A couple games before that, 27, 41, 72. Week number 1, they give up 78 against wide receivers. I think Adam Thielen is poised for another 100-yard receiving game. Feel comfortable with it. Start him. No questions asked.
Don't take my guy, Tom.
Absolutely love that, Josh. He's pretty much a lock. You got to play him week in and week out. He is the most expensive wide receiver in the daily formats, but he's been worth it. He's hit value, I believe, every game this year, and that's exactly what you want. My second guy, hopefully, Tim. I'm going to stick with the Jordy Nelson theme. I'm going to go with Danny Amendola, wide receiver for the Dolphins, facing the Houston Texans on Thursday Night Football. Only $4,500 on DraftKings, and I think he's a sneaky play as your wide receiver 3 or a flex if you're hurting. But since Brock Osweiler has become the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, Danny Amendola has been his friend. You know, he's the last 2 starts with Brock Amendola, 18 targets total, 143 yards, and he's also got a touchdown. He's a trusted guy in this offense. Plus, Kenny Stills, Albert Wilson are both out this week, so Amendola should be the highest, or he should have the most targets this week for the Miami Dolphins.
I like that. I'm going to go with ride the Josh train here a little bit. Andy Dalton against the Bucks. Give me Tyler Boyd all day, baby. AJ Green will be the primary focus there. Joe Mixon's still going to do his thing, but I think Tyler Boyd comes out there. He should get some value there. He's the 17th ranked wide receiver, I believe, in DraftKings. So you should get some decent value there. And I think Tyler Boyd is prime for a big week.
Yeah, that was actually going to be one of my other picks. But Tyler Boyd, right now he's on ESPN, the 14th ranked wide receiver in PPR. Kind of crazy to think when he had a game of 5.6 and another game of 5.7. But he has had 4 20-point games. Also, the thing that does add to Tyler Boyd is that John Ross is most likely going to be out. I think he's still out for another couple weeks as well. So I don't mind that pick whatsoever, Tim. I think that is a very smart non-Tim pick. Usually it'd be a
so
stupid
that means
pick, but I like
you're
it.
scrambling right now for a second pick. Do you want me to go with a third that you won't pick?
Go ahead.
My third, just a hidden one here, is I think you need to be looking at one Christian Kirk against the San Francisco 49ers. Kind of a sneaky play. Probably wouldn't be doing it, but if you're looking for a very cheap, if you want real expensive somewhere else, Christian Kirk, I think, against the 49ers, he's been putting up some decent numbers for them. Young wide receiver. Look for him to potentially have a big week this week. Over 10 points for someone with his value, you'd be happy with.
I guess if I had to pick another one, I would go with Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay had a
John Brown,
somewhat...
You wanted John Brown, so you were thinking about it, weren't you?
He had somewhat a down week this past week, obviously. 2 touchdowns to, who was it, Robert?
Yeah.
The tight end. Those should have been Kenny Galladay touchdowns. All right, let's just be real. So, Kenny Galladay comes back to earth here, and he ends up getting 78 yards and a touchdown. Next up, tight end.
I'll start my guy David Njoku this week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Since Baker Mayfield has taken over, Njoku has had a game with 7 targets, a game with 11, another game of 11, and another one of 6, including 2 touchdowns in those 4 weeks. 3rd most targets out of any tight end in that span. Give me all of David Njoku this week. I just think it's a quality matchup. Pittsburgh allows a lot of receptions and yards to tight ends. The third most in the league at yardage. So Njoku's a must start. Plus Baker Mayfield understands it. This guy's a freak of nature.
Hell
6'6", 250 pounds, runs like a gazelle. Get him the football as much as you can.
Runs like a gazelle. I love it.
When do the Bears have success? It's when Trubisky is comfortable. It's when he's able to sit back in the pocket. And where did he find his only success last week? It's with Trey Burton. Trey Burton against the Jets. That's going to be, I expect a monster game from Trey Burton. I feel like he's going to be the catalyst of that offense. And Trey Burton gets potentially a couple touchdowns against the Jets.
Trey Burton, that's interesting. I like O.J. Howard this week.
Love that.
Especially playing the Cincinnati Bengals. I think it's going to be a shootout of a game, so it's kind of tricky going with players in both games. But O.J. Howard last week, 5 receptions, 62 yards. The week before that, 4 for 62 and a touchdown. Consistently putting up over 10 points a game. Especially PPR formats. I enjoy the thought of having O.J. Howard on my team this week. Anything else?
That's all I got.
That's
What about Michael Roberts? Would you start that guy
Probably
this
not.
week?
the only other, if you want to talk tight end, I would definitely would not be starting Michael Roberts, but with the Vikings, look for Kyle Rudolph. He's kind of been a little bit silent in terms of what we thought he would be.
A lot of bit silent.
Well, just trying to be nice, Josh. Look for Kyle Rudolph to have some sort of impact on that game.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, last week 1 for 16. The week before that 4 for 37, 5 for 41, 5 for 57. No touchdowns in any of those games. Kind of a disappointment.
Being nice.
All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully this helps you win your week. Again, we are Pony Kick Sports. You guys can follow us on Twitter at Pony Kick Sports, at Pony_Keg_Tom. And if I talk to him, you guys can always email us ponykicksports@gmail.com. And until next time.
Peace.